Hello, welcome to Energy Matters again. I'm so glad to have another interview coming up for you. And this one I'm really excited about. This is my new friend and soul sister, Andrea Isaacs. It's really a delight to welcome you, Andrea. And just to let folks know, Andrea is the founder of the Emotional Mastery Institute that's been guiding leaders and entrepreneurs for 29 years to live in the zone of their unique power so they can easily and organically bring their gifts to the world. Her secret sauce is emotional mastery, which is essential for healthy, nourishing relationships, a business that lights up your heart, and a meaningful life that raises the consciousness of humanity to create a better world. Andrea, this is such a pleasure to have you here on Energy Matters. Thank you so much for making the time.
Oh, it's so much fun to be here with you, Vicky. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So I had the opportunity to see you speak recently and get connected with you at the Soul Leadership Retreat that was hosted by Mark Porteous, which was just a beautiful event. And one of the things that really struck me was that you emanate this beautiful energy when you're on stage that I think is probably a product of the years that you've spent in, cultivating your expertise in emotional mastery. I want to talk a little bit about what energy is to you. When you think about energy and how you might use it, not just about what pumps you up, but just what is the energetic connection. What comes to your mind? How do you define it?
Oh my gosh, so many things. So as a young person, one of the things that was really instilled in me was that what I wanted didn't matter. And you don't belong here. You're wrong. You're stupid, whatever. Messages like that. And, a lot of us growing up got messages that were not exactly empowering. So the energy that I had in my body was I just wanted to disappear. I felt small. I felt squished like a bug under my thumb. That feeling. I mean, imagine the energy of being squished like a bug.
Yeah, well, I'm imagining that not that a lot of people have experienced that sense of being pressed down and
Yeah.
yeah, not
So
a good
did I
feeling.
like it? No. Did I want to change it? Absolutely. Did I try a million and sometimes? Did it work? Never until I figured this out, my emotional mastery system. So
Mm,
it's not a surprise that my first professional career was kind of nonverbal. I
mm.
was a professional dancer for 25 years. I have
Uh-huh.
my own company. So, I mean, obviously I had to talk, but when I was on stage performing, I didn't have to use my voice. However, this is just really kind of a crazy love-hate relationship I had. I was compelled to get in front of the curtain before every concert, greet the audience, and say a few words about what they're about to experience on stage. I was more nervous about those three words. I was shaking like a leaf. My palms were sweaty as can be, and I'm crumpling into my hands my notes that were verbatim what I wanted to say, but I couldn't read it because they were crumpled in my hands, and I'm squeezing them like, and I spoke so quickly, I'm sure no one could understand a word I said. I just had to get it. I hated it, but I couldn't not do it. So talk about energy. I mean, the energy of that was just like shaking like a leaf, literally. And that is not an energy of confidence or
Mm,
calm at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
But what happened for me is, my dance career came to an end after a really bad injury, and I could hardly walk for 3 months. And at that time,
Mm.
I discovered the Enneagram personality system.
Uh-huh.
And I learned a lot about why I was so shy. And I was so intrigued with the system that I registered for a week-long training to learn more. And I remember sitting on my butt for 12 hours a day, getting great information poured into my head. And I'm sitting there wanting to do the types because I knew enough about emotion and energy that from my experience as a choreographer, I knew you could embody any emotion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I had my dancers do the emotion to experience the emotion. I wanted them to communicate on stage so it was authentic and powerful. Like, there's a way to do this. I knew there was. It should exist. And they knew how it could exist, and it didn't. So, first, I created a system for learning how to use energy in different ways to embody these different emotional gifts and also to embody the challenges as a method for learning. And it was a kinesthetic way to learn. It really gives, as you know, because you use movement as well, it's lasting learning when we experience.
Yes, yes, it goes right into the cells of your body when you actually start to have that intention of bringing it in that
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
What happened next, though, surprised me because I started to change. Instead of being painfully shy, finally, confidence became a part of who I was. So
Mm.
the energy might, if I wanted, I could be shy. I mean, right now I could just turn into my shy self, but I could choose not to because I want to be here present with you. And I've learned how to just be grounded and how to use my energy in a way that allows me to be present, that allows me to fully show up as who I am. And, we really can't choose the energy that we're embodying because whatever it is that we are embodying is how we communicate, how we come across, the impact we make.
I love that so much, Andrea. And one of the things that I'm thinking about when I think about you as in your shy self, sort of shaking with that intense amount of energy, right? And not feeling like you had the open vessel to be able to express what you wanted to express, that was really about how opening up a channel, right? And so about opening up channels through the dance work that you've done and through all these different experiences that you have. Can you say a little bit more? Like, do you ever still, for example, you've cultivated your confidence, but do you still ever experience stage fright? And what is that like? And how do you use it?
Stage fright, yes. You heard me speak just recently. So was I nervous before going on stage? I think it would be really weird if I were going on stage and I wasn't nervous. It would be really weird. But I've learned some ways that I recognize what it is. And when I'm walking, I mean, I have a real clear memory, like a sense memory of what it felt like to walk up the stairs to get to the stage and walking center stage and taking a moment just to stand center stage and to look at you. And I remember the first thing I did was like I acknowledged the audience and I said, look around the room and who's in here? Who's in this room? And nobody really looked. They were looking at me. And I said, no, I meant it. Turn your head around. Like you have to be specific, right? Turn your head and take a look at and then they did. And they did. And just engaging with them made me feel at home in my skin. One of
Yeah.
my longings for so much of my life was to feel at home in my skin because I never did as a young person.
Well, it's
So
interesting to me that the way you felt at home in your skin, which I really relate to, was by having people sort of join you in that process of looking around. So it wasn't even about feeling at home in your skin at that point. It was like saying something and then having everybody kind of be at home in their own skin.
yes, I heard a speaking technique recently by a colleague. She was saying that connection's more important than perfection.
Mhm.
So if I had tried to be perfect in that moment, that would have been one thing, but that wasn't on my mind. I wanted to connect. And that's really the key to say performance anxiety. If you connect, it takes me outside of of thinking that you're just watching me.
Mhm.
It made me connect to you. And then the focus is on you. And I'm just a vehicle.
Yes. Yeah. I've been a performer for many, many years. And one of the things that most influenced me was a sister performer who once said, don't worry about how people are seeing you. Just think of sending out the love. Just send out the love, focus on
Yeah.
sending as opposed to how am I being perceived and what are they going to think and all of that stuff that early performers end up doing. And
Something else that really makes me feel at home when I have stage fright is we all know about enrolling questions, asking the audience questions. But I really not only pay attention to do they raise their hand and I look someone in the eye and say, well, how about you? And I imagine, and I don't just imagine, I actually make eye contact with someone and talk to that person. And again, that takes me out of knowing that you're thinking that you're all looking at me. No, I'm looking at you. I'm
yeah,
talking to you right now.
yeah,
And then I remember like moving from the stage here and there. And when I would get to a corner or whatever, I would find someone and I would just look at that person. And I remember calling out people's names and just looking at them. And it not only puts me at ease, but it engages everyone.
yeah.
There's a two-way conversation then.
Yeah, yeah. Pulls them right out of any temptation to look at their phone, right? It's like they're there. It brings them present as well.
What if she looks at me and asks me a question?
Right. So I know that one of the themes that we talked about for today is embodied and empowered, three keys for focus, action, and a mindset for entrepreneurial success. So when we think about what those three keys are, what would you say about them? What are they, and how would you elaborate on that?
So I have a quiz. It's based on the Enneagram that I described before, but my work isn't just based on that. It starts with that and we go way beyond it.
Mm,
There's one type called the leader. One of their gifts is power. Now, the word power is actually the root of the word empowered. And what I have found is so many people shy away from their power because they've experienced it in a wrong or bad way.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong or bad about power. It's what you do with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you've experienced the abuse of power, and I was around a lot of people who were powerful in a not such a good way, and I don't want to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the moment I said that to myself. I think I was maybe 8 years old. I said, I will never be like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that perpetuated my shyness because I wasn't going to be one of those.
Yeah, power over. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Power to control, power to manipulate, power to abuse, all of that. There's nothing right or good about that.
Right.
The right use of power is to the power to be all that you are, the power to be empowered and to be empowering to others. That's a beautiful and the right use of power. And what I do in my work is we go to the energy of that type, the leadership type, which has the gift of the confidence and the strength and healthy use of power. And we also go to the shadow. And, we can't really embody the ability to be empowered if we don't allow ourselves in a ritual container where there are no real life consequences to allow ourselves to experience the wrong or bad use of power, the power that was done to us, perhaps, and not to perpetuate that, but just to get a little taste of it, because then you have what I call the pendulum learning curve. Say, for example, this is like me, shy, not speaking up, never letting you know what I think, or you hurt my feelings, I feel betrayed, never speaking up to any of that. And imagine over here, the wrong or bad use of power. Mm-hmm. And I lived here and I didn't want to be there. And I thought that was a safe place, except it didn't serve me. And nobody knew how I felt.
It not only didn't serve you, it didn't serve any of the people that you might have been in service to.
Right. Because they don't know how I feel. They didn't know they upset me. Maybe something was going on for them that I knew nothing about, and I don't get to know them.
Or it creates, then there's no there, that it sort of means that the connection is never really real because you're not fully there because you're pulling back from your truth.
So when in that ritual container with no real life consequences, which is very important, you learn how to manage that energy. And you realize,
do you do that through conversation, or do you do that through enactment, or how do you play with that?
Embodiment.
Yeah.
Through embodiment. There's that word. We both love that word. I know. Well, let me describe like how we would embody power, for example. So in the Enneagram, we have these levels of emotional health that start from when you're in your essential self, you're just your best and highest self, no matter what, to what I call automatic pilot. You get triggered easily. And then every type and every person has a potential dark shadow. And we explore the whole range because it's all part of human nature.
Yeah.
And if we disallow any part of it, what happens is we throw that part of us into the shadow.
Yeah.
Kind of a good thing, because that means we don't act out, we don't get angry in bad ways. However, it means what you were just saying, you're not present, you're not really connected. So in this ritual container with no real life consequences, we unpack the shadow. So we start with the healthy aspect and we move, say with the leader, it's strong and confident and grounded and assertive, and we're direct and we're decisive, and we listen to and honor our gut knowing because we just know what to do and we act powerfully. And that's all well and good. And then we go into the automatic pilot, we get triggered and they get a little more controlling, and we stand up and we embody that. We get a little more direct, and we get more in your face, and it's more aggressive, and it's more stronger, and it's more powerful, and it's dominating.
Mm-hmm.
We come back to the one we want to cultivate and nurture and train and strengthen. And I guide people to find the mantra and word or phrase and the mudra, traditionally a prayer or meditation position, any body position that captures the essence of what you most want from these qualities. And so you start to learn how to customize your mantras and your mudras for what will help move you towards success or abundance or joy or a better relationship, whatever it is you want more of. And then we dip just briefly into the dark shadow. And that is so interesting. And people used to say, I had this one person say to me once, I've spent thousands of dollars in therapy not to go there. Why do you want me to do that? Good question, right? Well, I don't want you to do that in real life. I want you to go there right now in this ritual container where you can learn how to manage that energy instead of pushing it down. Because a lot of people who have these anger issues, they've learned how to manage it, how to control it. And the language for one of my clients was, I am a tan block inside. Because she used to be more explosive. So she learned how not to be, which is a good thing. But the alternative for her was, to be a tan block. And I'm feeling that energy. You feel the energy constricted and contracting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't even breathe, really. You can't breathe. It's not peaceful. It's not calm. People don't know you're triggered. You're just this tan block.
Yeah.
And
I used to think of it as a as a dragon that was in the basement, and that the more I tried to keep that door shut, the more that energy would be louder and louder in my head. So it was like it was very present. It would get louder. It would become more abusive the more I tried to shut it down. So it was just a really, there was a process that I needed to really allow this energy to live in me, own that energy, not just own any piece of me, in order for me to really be real.
so true. Whew, I know. We think we're doing a good thing by not letting it out, the dragon out.
Right. Well, we don't want to harm, right? We don't want to harm people.
Right, right. But one of the things that it's silly how this came to be, but I I've had a lot of, like all of us, we've had tough conversations. Personally, I used to ignore them and not bring them up because they were either too painful, too difficult. I was afraid of the other person's reactions. I didn't know how to manage it. So I would just not speak up. And of course, the situation, whatever it was that was upsetting me, was never resolved.
Mm-hmm.
So in my own journey, I've learned these 5 C's for effective communication,
Mm-hmm.
which allow you to unpack I don't want to unpack the shadow. That's not what we're doing here. Anyway, it allows you to bring up the conversations and to navigate them with ease. But I want to go back to that pendulum learning curve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the visual container, it's really great to be able to extreme the whole polarity, because then this is what happened for me. I learned that anger is just energy,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to be big energy, and there's nothing wrong or bad about it. What we can do is choose how we use it. So
Mm-hmm.
by managing the whole spectrum of anger, and I used to think that if I went to to anger, I thought the cells of my body would explode. I mean, it's silly, right? But I mean, I just thought something inside me would explode, and I didn't want that.
Yeah.
And I learned that I wouldn't have to explode. And then I learned, oh, wait, I could just take a stand. I could I don't have to do either extreme. I can just stand right in the middle of that stream and just simply stand and be present. And that's strong and assertive right there, just taking a stand. And
Mm-hmm.
once I take a stand, I'm fully present. So my energy shifts and it's like, oh, the cells are lined up now, right? And then I could just speak with a gentle heart. I can connect to this person, have this conversation about what was upsetting, listen to them. What I have to say is received, and I can hear and listen and receive what they're saying. We can become curious about each other and have compassion for the other perspective and understand why that happened. And the thing is resolved and never has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to take that stand in the middle if you haven't experienced both extremes.
Yeah. Or if you're just really trying to push it away, quiet it down. Yeah, I think that's such a profound learning that you're bringing to your people around, particularly around anger, which I think so many, particularly women, I think have a really hard time of knowing how to express it. And then by the time it comes out, it can be pretty toxic, right? When we've stuffed it for a long time and then that bursts out, then we're doing exactly what we're most afraid of, which is,
Oh,
creating more mess.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a challenge for human nature.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not taught how to manage our anger.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Oh,
And there's so many different uses of anger. Sometimes, that what I think of is righteous anger, right? We're really say angry about a social justice issue, or we're really
right. We have
angry.
every right to be angry.
Right. Yeah. And so to really be able to how do we embrace the wholeness of who we are is what I'm hearing you say, is that there's, how, and by coming back to center, what in Qigong we call the sort of the central pole, right? The center. So what that's for you, in the center of that pendulum, how do you come back to that and speak then where you're really in your power, truly in your power, without trying to manipulate or control the other person.
So I want to go back to the keys, because when I see someone's blueprint, the result of their quiz, I can see if they don't have access to this power we're talking about, there's an impact on some of the other scores and their blueprint. And I see, oh, if that's not online, if you're not connected to your power, what happens is you lose a connection to the other qualities in that slice of the pie, in this pie chart, which includes something like the ability to listen to and honor your gut knowing.
Mm, mm,
Value of that. And this is a challenge I see certainly in entrepreneurs, but I see it in general. And there's a lot of people who have a lot of creativity, who love to think outside the box, who are innovators. It's a gift they have. And then there's what I call the gift gone wrong.
mm.
The gift gone wrong means is there's so many possibilities about what you could do with your day or with your time. Or I have these 2 hours of free time. What can I get done? Let's see, there's this and there's that. And then I have this whole list. And then if their gut knowing is offline, the ability to be confident and listen to and honor your gut knowing, the ability to make a decision and to choose what to focus on, the scattered whammies running the show.
Mm,
That's
mm.
the impact. The scattered whammy is driving the car down the path to your life destiny, and you're not going to like where it goes,
Yeah, yeah,
especially since there's another impact. When
yeah.
your gut is offline and the scattered whammy's running the show, what I see in the blueprint is your ability to focus is also offline because you don't know what to focus on. It's not that you can't, you just don't know what to focus on. And then the result, and this of course leads to success or lack of, the result of those things combined is I look at your achiever score, like, no wonder that's low. And it's like this domino effect.
Yeah.
The scores are impacting each other and impact you, and you make you feel like I'm just not moving forward in my business or in my life.
Hmm.
Well, it's not that you're a mess or you don't deserve it. It's the scattered whammies running the show.
I love scattered whammies. This is such a great image. I can sort of picture them, and I certainly am familiar with them. I've definitely fallen prey to that
Too, I know.
more than once, not
Yeah.
even that long ago. So yeah, that's really, really brilliant, Andrea. Thank you so much. This is such a wonderful way to be thinking about the energy of the emotions and how we navigate how we can navigate from a place of power or empowerment as opposed to just reactivity. Yeah, so good and so essential because I know you work with entrepreneurs and people who are really, having to self-generate and so to be able to know how to regulate in this way is it really truly an essential piece. Yeah.
Yeah, it's essential in life. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. So I know that we're kind of coming to a close here, but I want to find out, is there anything else that you want us to know about the work that you do, or how can people find out more? How can they take the quiz? What would you like them to know?
Well, there's so much more that we don't have time for right now.
Yeah.
I'm talking with people about their blueprints. So
Mm.
I'm going to give you a really easy to remember link to my calendar. It's
Okay.
talk to Andrea, and the two is a number, the numeral two. It's not, you don't spell it out. Talktoandrea.com. And not only will you get to my calendar, but you'll get the link to the quiz once you get to the calendar.
Perfect.
And then we'll talk about your blueprint and how it shows up for you in all parts of life. We can talk about if you have any whammies, there's the scattered whammy, there's the anger whammy, there's the I don't matter whammy. We'll talk about your combination of gifts. They're also quite unique and how they point to your life purpose.
I
And
gotta ask you, how did you come up with whammies as a name for these different energy voices? Any
well,
different
this is
thought
about
patterns?
yeah, thank you. It was about 5 years ago. I was talking with a client about her blueprint. It was our first call, so she's just getting to know me. And when I was just describing to you the combination of the gut knowing, being offline, scattered whammy, focus whammy, achiever whammy, I was describing a series of impacts that were impacting her with the resulting whammy, with the resulting challenge, I'll say for right now. And I could feel her sinking. Her energy was just, as if, there's so much work for me to do.
Uh,
I said, it's not that hard. Change can be easy. It's just a whammy. And she said, what? And I didn't plan on saying that word. And she said, what? And then I had to describe what I meant. And I said, well, it's like a knockout punch and it just feels like it's hard to get up. And then I said, we could find what I call your first domino, that one thing which could change everything, like in the description I just gave about the scattered whammy. Let's just get your gut knowing online.
mm,
There'll be another domino effect that will lift you up. And then
mm.
she lit up. And then I realized that, oh, wait, there are double whammies. Oh, no wonder that's so hard to change. It's a triple whammy. And I've seen quadruple whammies and so on. And I won't go into all the whammies now, but when you get to my calendar, I can give you a link to the whammies webinar. You can learn all about the whammies.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm certainly going to come to that webinar and hear about the whammies. It's a beautiful, beautiful way to express something that can feel so overwhelming and depleting. And what you're doing is making it fun and accessible and easy and saying, and I love that you have this on your website too. That's not hard to change, or it's easy to change, something like that.
Change can be easy.
Change can be easy.
Yeah.
I love that so much. That's so much. I really believe in pivoting. How do we pivot? What are the things that we can do? What are the activities we can do to pivot? So we're thinking along the same lines, and I'm looking forward to learning more from you, Andrea. So thank you so much for coming and being on this program today. It's such a joy to hear you, and I know that we've just done the very tip of the iceberg. You have so much more to share. So thank you for what you have given today.
Thank you, Vicki. It's so delightful to be here with you, and I look forward to learning from you as well.
Thank you. All right, folks. So keep tuning in to Energy Matters. Love having you here. Please leave comments. Let us know what you think, because both of us will be looking. Both of us want to know. All right. Thanks, everybody. Be well. And until the next time, let the chief flow.